Hey sweet friends, I'm a new grandmother. It's been a few days since I've posted, and that is why mother and baby are doing well. Doily pumpkin is the cutest ever. Now I actually did mine a little differently than the inspiration picture that I saw on Pinterest. This doily happened to have a little rosette in the top with a hole in the center. And I thought that that would be really cute just to leave it as the detail on the top. And then that way I could stretch the doily as far underneath as it went, and then it would still have a flat surface. You know, it wouldn't necessarily have to have a flat surface for being seated. Seated, is that the right word? For being put upon some piece of furniture in some kind of decorative way. Now, I'm doing this the same way I would do all my upholstery type projects. You know, you do the top, then the bottom, then the left, then the right, and then you just work it in between. And I'm using my little rubber scissor handles to keep from burning the living daylights out of my fingers. I know they make those silicone, is that the word? Silicone fingertips to keep you from burning, but I've never tried those. Let me know if they're good. Let me know if it feels like you're trying to do something with actual winter mittens on, because that kind of comes to my mind what it might feel like. So, you know, I tried to take my time and stretch it gently and keep it all, you know, not distorted or skewed. Then I put the little original stem that came from that pumpkin. That pumpkin came from Dollar Tree for their Dollar Tree Plus aisle that's $3. And I just love it. It's so cute with the green showing through there. I mean, any color that you pick up would be cute with the crocheted doily over it. But I did add a little bit of lamb's ear to the top, just a touch of something else. You can go crazy. You can put Spanish moss, you can put the pip berries, you can do a lot of stuff. And I have done that on other things, but I really am enjoying letting the crocheted doily take center stage. And there is a sweet little doggie that was a sweet little gift from a friend. And isn't he adorable? Now, Dollar Tree Plus also had this frame that was very ornate, $3, and it was with their Halloween decor. I actually just don't do Halloween decor. I just don't. So I immediately admired the ornateness of that little frame, and I loved that it was oval. So I considered putting a print, and then I decided, you know, let's just do this very neutral. So I got my scrap of drop cloth that I've been using lately, and I decided I wanted the frame to look lighter. So I did my favorite color of Waverly chalk paint, which is plaster. That's my favorite neutral tone. And then I took a little antique wax in the darker brown color, and just dry brushed it on, and didn't even really dry wipe it off or wet wipe it off or anything. In fact, I did a very sloppy job of getting that plaster on there. Okay, here's real-time flirting going on. You realize I'm making a video.
I was trying to get
I just left that in there because it's absolutely typical of his love language, which is to aggravate, tease, annoy till he gets your attention. All right, these pretty little neutral colored eucalyptus, I think they might be called silver dollar eucalyptus. Anyway, those little stems came from Pop Shelf, as did the little pampas grass looking things, and I stole a little tiny pumpkin off of a stem from the Dollar Tree as well. But I just thought that looked very nice and neutral. I did hang it on the front of my china cabinet for now, but you know, you're liable to see it anywhere in my home. But that was sitting by. I did glue some jute for a hanging loop to go over that doorknob, cabinet doorknob. I'm really liking that. pumpkin pedestal. All right, I literally found table legs, just two of them, on the side of the road down the street, and they were really an interesting choice of colors. And these little boxes were only $1.25 each at the Dollar Tree, and I felt that at first I didn't think that the larger part of that box would fit, but then I just had to believe. I believed in my heart. I knew I needed some extra something, you know. I didn't think a candle or a pumpkin or anything would balance as well as it should on just the tip of that chair leg. So I pushed it down in the larger part of the box, and it did work, and ended up using the lid on the very bottom under that. See, I picked up two of those little wood boxes, and of course they're very thin. They're not meant for heavy duty anything, but they worked great for this project, and I was glad to do it. I ended up putting a whole coat of plaster over it, because as much as I loved aqua and turquoise tones, this particular shade was not doing it for me. I added some balsa little strips under there, because it just, where I had hot glued it on, and I did just hot glue it. Didn't staple it, didn't screw it, didn't nail it, none of that. I did just simple, easy crafting. After I got the plaster on and the little detailed bits of balsa wood cut and hot glued underneath to add a little more detail, I did dry brush some elephant chalk paint, and there's my pretty little crocheted adorable pumpkin sitting on some Spanish moss, sitting on the box with the lid on it. And I had some other pumpkin things that I could gather with it, and I do intend to cut the other table leg in half and do kind of the same thing with those wood boxes to beef it up a little on the top and bottom. But hey, we had a grandbaby, so you know, what's done is done for now. I had to just, oh, that's our grand beagle that was staying at our house while Mama was at the hospital taking care of business with baby. Oh, and there's my pretty little child's vintage chair, and just a wire egg basket sitting in some vine. Nice, nice. All right. If you've ever looked at the placemats at anywhere like Dollar Tree, Dollar General, I think Dollar Tree is where I got these, and I looked through my picture frame stash and found some that were very close to the size of these $1.25 each placemats, which I thought were absolutely cute. And I didn't bother with trying to put a mirror or anything. I used the backing mirror, glass. They didn't come with glass, didn't want glass, just wanted them to be light and easy to do. So I used the backing that was still in the frame as a template to cut out the correct size, and just popped it back in there, and that is all. That is all. I don't know of a simpler project, and I really thought that those were nice. I love the sage green check, and that truck is so cute. I'm trying to see the yellow tag on these frames. I think I paid $1.99 each, and when I find good frames like this, especially a little set, I go ahead and pick them up, and I just have a little stash, and that way when some idea like this occurs to me, when I saw those placemats, I was like, those are actually pretty enough to be framed for some seasonal art. And I just think they're adorable. The truck doesn't particularly have fall florals in it, does it? Who can remember? We'll see in a minute, because I did a more close-up when I'll show you where I hung it in my home. But it seemed to me that the florals in that truck were such that you could use it more than just in the fall. I like what it says, make memories along the way. Well, that's just my life motto. And that is more fall and Thanksgiving themed. That's pretty. So cute. Look, the tag on the truck says happy. Now that's adorable. This is by my back door, by French doors that go out onto the patio. And it's a good spot. You know, I keep nails and push pins. Clear push pins are a good way to hang things and not make just terrible booger holes in your walls. but I change things around a lot. Now, this may not be for everyone. Maximalist alert here. I have been wanting to redo the top of the piano for quite some time, so here I am taking down all the bits and parts and pieces, and I decided to leave the blue toile, the framed toile wallpaper, leave it where it was, and I've been wanting to try the plank and books. Now, maybe I'm crazy for putting that beautiful flow blue picture up there, but you see I slipped something. It's actually a plastic comb that happened to just be lying nearby. I don't know whose comb it is. Could be a stranger's for all I know. Surely it's somebody in my family. But it just needed to tilt backward toward the wall just a tiny bit so that I would feel like it was a little bit more secure. But there's my vintage sewing machine that I've been dying to feature it in some kind of way. And I realize that's a lot for the eyes to take in. I know it is. I admit it. I confess. But I don't apologize, because this is what my eyes love to see. I love to see visual abundance. I love to see details. I love to have vignettes that draw you in and let you just take a little stroll with your mind, seeing all the interesting parts and the things that I have found that I feel like they look happy together. And it makes me happy. It makes me smile. Look at the beautiful little Singer tin box that is from my friend Renetta. It's so cute. Looks so good with that. And the little buttonholer accessory, that was a good thing to gather there with it. And some old vintage spools of thread and string. And that is an actual vintage paper tape measure, if you can believe that. Wood spools. And I love the very old wooden shoe stretcher. Oh, that's so pretty to me. I love it. Oh, by the way, the florals in that beautiful picture came from Dollar General. I went back and didn't see any more of the fern. The little fern bushes were maybe $3 each. I think every one of those pieces were $3 each. But the ferns looked very autumn toned. They had some neutrals mixed in. Okay, you guys have seen me do vintage prints many times, but this is kind of a new twist on this. That big piece used to be a mirror, and then I painted chalkboard paint on it and used it forever. Then I put the beadboard wood in there and have been using it as a background and an anchor for my vignettes. And I thought that these very cute little vintage images that I found on Pinterest or the internet or Graphics Fairy, those are all good places to find beautiful images. Just printed them out at home. Sometimes I send prints to Staples. If it's a really big print and I don't want to use up all the toner in my own laser printer, I'll send the bigger ones to Staples, and that doesn't take very much, money, that is, to print it out. But it's pretty insultingly expensive when you're having to replace your own toner cartridges. I don't like that. So that little rabbit print I thought was so cute, and I'm enjoying putting layers of things onto that long beadboard piece. This is the front corner of my living room. You can see the foyer over there to the left. And you can see that literally everything in this grouping is thrifted. Almost everything in my house. I'd say a good 90-something% of everything in my house is thrifted. The little bunny was 99 cents, had a crack on its ear. Somebody had glued the ear back on, so I made the little halo of sunflowers around the sweet bunny's head. The scale came from a flea market in North Carolina. The lamp was thrifted years ago, and that faux staghorn fern plant was $3 at a North Carolina flea market. The vintage botanical print at the top, pretty sure that might be a Graphics Fairy. If you've never checked out that website, they're not endorsing me or anything. I just love them. They just have lovely things you can print out. No copyright issues. Just print them out for free. Wonderful, wonderful. And of course the vintage books. Always with the vintage books. Now the big wooden spoon. When I picked this thing up for $2, I did not know that it was originally from Hobby Lobby, quite expensively. And then I just kind of looked to see what other inspirational images I could see of big wooden spoons, and decided to incorporate some florals. And I had this little fox image already printed out that it wasn't the right size for another project, but you can see I'm just using a school glue stick, which is kind of genius because it is easier and less mess than doing Mod Podge, which I'm a Mod Podge lover. I will continue to do Mod Podge, but I used some antique wax, very dry. You can see I'm getting most of it back off the brush and just dragging it kind of across the top of that little image to make it look more like what the spoon looks like originally. And that little fox with its beautiful little orange autumn tones, so sweet. I'm glad that I save all the little things that I print out and don't fit on the first try for another project, because things like this come up and all I do is reach for my little Ziploc bag. I've got a gallon-sized bag with printouts that didn't work for something else, but sure are cute. So these, I believe every bit of those stems came from the Dollar Tree, except the Black-Eyed Susans were in a bundle from the thrift store for less than $1. Hard to remember. But I chose a few pieces, just a few, not overdoing it, trying not to overdo it. And y'all, I tried to hang it on the wall by itself. This is my foyer. And it looked so lonely. It was just so lonely. It had to have more. So I layered it up with that plastic. That cathedral window looking cutout is plastic. It looks so real, looks so much like wood to me. I didn't do a single thing to it. It just looks that believable as is. So I put it on top of the cutout piece, and then I added some of my, oh Lisa, what's the word? The twiggy things. Ting, is that the word? I think that's the word, ting. I had a big bunch of that in a vase, and I pulled a couple out to add to that. Now, Moody pumpkin tray. I'm seeing the word Moody all over the place lately, and I think that just means dark colors and not everything white and neutral and light gray like the farmhouse trend has been for ever so long. And I like that too, but it just never turns out that way in my house because I have too many colorful things. I found this tray at a thrift store, obviously, and loved the look of it, the deep colors and the metallic gold look. I hot glued on 4 round cabinet knobs. They're wood, and I think they did come from Hobby Lobby or the thrift store at some point, who knows, and added antique wax to make them look the same. I just wanted it lifted up a little, just a little, not big. Oh, those little velvety pumpkins came from the Dollar Tree for $1.25 each. So I arranged them on some Spanish moss, and they just would not sit still and cooperate. I ended up cutting some lengths of stiff wire and poking one end of the wire into the bottom of the pumpkin and the other end just down into that mass of Spanish moss. I didn't want to glue anything to the top of that tray because that tray's actually got a real pretty design on it, and I want to have it free to use in other ways for other seasons. These little pieces, some of these are parts of stems that I've bought this year, and parts, look at that wood cheese box that's full of stuff from last fall that I was digging through there and finding some really good ones to go into the arrangement. You'll notice the lighting causes these pumpkins to look different in different spaces, but I thought they were gorgeous colors. I got 2 green, 1 navy, and 1 of the rust colored. Through a little crocheted doily. It's rectangular, but I just kind of folded it over and tucked it under the side. That's my very old toolbox that's probably 100 years old. Was listed on Facebook Marketplace for $25, and I met the girl as quickly as possible to go get this thing. It's right now full of my grandchildren's toys. chair cushion. Well, does everybody remember the living fit I had over finding this Costco folding step stool chair? Well, it has some damage to the top, but I didn't want to undo that original vinyl on it. I decided I would just make a little cushion. I made a pattern by just laying it on top of the chair part, and then this material is a quilted jacket in size extra small that I probably couldn't have worn, any time in the last 3 decades. So I rescued it from going to the landfill because one of my favorite thrift stores had fill a bag for $5. It was like a Walmart bag. So I stuffed a Walmart bag, and that was one of the items. So, 50 cents maybe for that thing. I made 2 cutouts of this and 1 cutout of a torn towel. I don't know. I could never get a confession over which of my guys tore that towel. I think they took it kayaking. I think that's what happened. But as you can see, instead of taking it to the sewing machine like a normal person with a sewing machine might do, I decided I was just going to hot glue the edges as if I were stitching, and then turn it inside out with that layer of towel in there. And I actually cut one more smaller layer of towel to add a little cushioning in there. I could have used batting, but I just used what was on hand. Even made some little ties to attach it to the back, and that's a really sweet fall print for now, and even just in general. But I have a feeling I'll do a fresh one for Christmas and then another one for spring. And let's just take in the loveliness of this old Costco stool that I found for $12.99 at Amazon Hope Thrift Store, the warehouse in the back in Boaz. And that makes me have all the happy feelings. All the happy feelings. Big basket of fruit and some onions. I hope the onions don't make the fruit smell or taste like onions. The little church pew. I have always wished I could have an actual church pew in my home. Look at these images. They're so gorgeous. But I just don't have room. I don't have that kind of space. Maybe someday. I don't know. But look at this little bookshelf that I found at least 6 months ago. It's been hanging around for a while. I thought one of the first things I thought about this bookshelf is that it looked like a church pew. So I said, you know what? Today's the day. Let's make some tiny little accessories and put that in my foyer just to make me smile. Well, I printed out some images of little books, the book covers, vintage book covers. They're available online, and I can't remember where I found these because I printed those out a while back. And I'll tell you, that was not the easiest project I did, because the pages have to pretty much be cut, a little 10 page thickness at a time, and that was getting on my last nerve, but I did finally get 2 of them put together. Then I took this piece of foam, came packaged with some computer part that Ben ordered, and I'm always on the lookout for craft supplies, so I threw that in my stash and found this lovely is it Waverly or Shoemaker? I think it's Schumacher. I don't even know how to pronounce it. That is a lovely fabric. So I used some of that and just did a little miniature upholstery job on this pew. And I'm folding over the edges, hot gluing it in place. Me and my hot glue gun. It's instant. It's wonderful. And I had enough to do a little matching pillow. The books are The Hobbit and Grimm's Fairy Tales. Little tiny pumpkin. Guess what the throw is? It is a hand knitted washcloth that I have actually used in my kitchen, but it was done by a very sweet friend of mine. Miss Pam brought it to me one time when I was feeling so terribly ill with my health. I was in a bad place, and she just came to see me and brought me a beautiful little hand knitted kitchen dishcloth. Well, there's the church pew in my foyer. I've always wanted a church pew in my foyer. Happy Doggy Spotlight time. Oh, I'm so happy to share these doggies. Meet Emma, who belongs to Doris of West Virginia. Is that a doll? Is that a sweet little doggie just looking at her precious mama saying, "Here I am, do you love me?" Of course we do, Emma. Send me your fur baby's picture and I will put you in the lineup. I'm getting so many lovely pictures that I'm putting them on my videos in order of when I received them. So if you've sent one lately, be patient, it's coming. Thank you for watching. I appreciate everyone so much. I pray blessings over your life.